I'm here. It is a very rainy afternoon here at Daytona International Speedway, but I'm with Ryan Preece, who is considered the reserve driver for Stewart-Haas Racing at the moment. But Ryan, you've been a bit of a journeyman this year. We'll start off with that. Let's just start off with how that has been. Just racing part-time in the Truck Series, part-time in the Xfinity Series, a couple Cup Series starts as well. How has that been, still being somewhat successful, at least in the Truck Series?
Oh yeah, different from previous seasons. As far as my national career's gone, it's kind of been, you get a few opportunities with manufacturer-based teams, and then you get some that aren't. And ultimately, from where I'm from, and been contending for wins your entire racing career, it's tough to go to those environments again and really take a step back. So this was a good opportunity for myself, running the truck and being up front, contending for wins. I feel like we probably should have a few more, and things just didn't quite go our way, or just things out of your control. But at the same time, we've done what we needed to do. We won one. Wish it was a few more, but still, it's keeping your name there.
So let's go back now. Berlin, Connecticut. Am I right?
Yep.
That's where you're from. So in that northeast part of the United States is it's a very heavy modified area. Very, very modified focus when it comes to NASCAR Modified Series. That's where you got your start. Tell me about how you grew up and got into that series, and how did you get into racing?
Probably like most people, racing's been on both sides, my mother and my father's, and so I grew up about 5 minutes from a track in Connecticut, Meriden, Silver City, which is quarter midget track. Started racing there, and then just really the reason I started racing modifieds was because it was a lot easier to go to. It wasn't easy to go to Indianapolis or run pavement midgets as I got older, and it was just a lot more accessible to be at that part of the country, and just started racing a modified, traveling to North Carolina or Pennsylvania when I was about 14, 15 years old, and made my way onto the modified tour when I was 16, and had a lot of poles, a lot of wins, a championship and an owner's championship, and just been really successful up there.
So if I'm not mistaken, your first starts in the National Wheel and Modified Series NASCAR Wheel and Modified Series came in 2007.
Yep.
So tell me about how that start kind of came to be, and then you really just became a staple of that series ever since. And then tell me what that has been like throughout. Do you just feel like that's where you have belonged ever since?
That's just where I grew up. It's not that I didn't love racing super late models or midgets or stuff like that. It's not as easy as getting a ride like it is in other sports where you earn yourself a spot.
Yeah.
You go wherever it's easiest to be in the country to race. And 2007, my family, we had a modified, and we chose to try and race the Wheel Modified Tour. That's how that happened. 2008, I ended up driving for the 3-car with Old Blue. I was 17 years old. That year, I think I became the youngest pole winner and youngest winner in modifieds at that point. But it's not racing is so different from other sports. It's not hey, I want to try and get a ride in a super late model, or I want to try and race a sprint car, or I want to try and race this. That just wasn't in the cards. I'm sure I could have, but financially it wasn't where my family was or could do. So I became a staple in the modifieds because that's where I'm from. I'm from the Northeast. I race weekly at Stafford Motor Speedway, Thompson, Riverhead. I raced 3-4 nights a week up there because it was tracks that I could race at an hour and a half or 3 hours from my home and go race the next night. So yeah.
And so let's fast forward a little bit. It became very short track focused. We're in the way here. We're right in front of this hauler. But it was a very short track focused career in the modified series. But then started getting noticed.
Yep.
Such as getting noticed by Joe Gibbs Racing, and then you got your first starts in the Xfinity Series later on. I want to say it was 2017 when that began.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the difference that came to be. A lot of drivers grow up with their families in the short track scene, but then they become a part of something way bigger, and they go into the national circuit. Tell me about the difference that was, and you got your bearings pretty quickly.
Yeah, it just it comes down to right things happen at the right time, right? You got to have fast race cars, and then you have to do your job and, not speed on pit road, execute, and all that stuff came together. So as far as it was a great opportunity with Joe Gibbs Racing, we won a few races and contended for wins, and that was great. But it was the same thing racing with DGR and those guys. We've had a few wins and we've contended for wins, which is great, and it's been a lot of fun. My National Series career has been an uphill battle the entire time. A lot of it, Tommy Baldwin was actually the first one who gave me an opportunity to race an Xfinity car in 2013. It was one race in 2013, 2 races in 2014. Some cup starts just to get through what they have an approval process in 2015. 2016 was a race for an underfunded team that didn't have the access to everything that JGR or any of these other teams had. So statistically, when you look up who I am and when I race, it might not look all great, but if you eliminate the years where you aren't with a manufacturer team, it's pretty good. So it's just trying to rebuild and show people, when I get in a race car outside of the National Series with things that I feel like we can go win races with, that's usually what we do.
Tell me about that call in 2013 when you got that offer to drive in the Xfinity car with Tommy Baldwin. Did that just kind of happen suddenly, or was that like a relationship that you were building along the way?
No, the first time I met Tommy was he was at a Loudon testing Cup car. I think Dave Blaney was there, and that was the first time I met him. That was about a month before the race, and he's from Modifieds, and he wanted to help put me through that process. That's how that whole thing really started. And I have a great relationship with Tommy still to this day. I still go out to dinner with him here and there. And, he's really the one who started the whole thing of trying to get to this point. Before that, it was, try and win races in the Northeast and wait for a phone call that might never come.
And then you were getting noticed, went to JGR. We'll go a little bit more forward. We already talked about that. Then you get noticed by JTG, and they offer you the full-time ride. Tell me about that call. How did that deal come to be, especially as not a lot of people make the jump from JGR to JTG, vastly different teams.
Well, somebody in my position, I didn't have funding to go get opportunities. So really, it was a good opportunity for somebody like myself to make a living in NASCAR and work with Ted and Jody Gerschechter. It was a great 3 years of experience. So, but yeah, it was racing at NASCAR's top level. But at the same time, my goals are to compete for wins week in and week out, and I feel like somebody where I am right now, that's what I have to do.
And then as somebody who really a lot of the success is based on talent alone, it seems. A lot of younger drivers, I should say, come in and they work a lot with their sponsorship. I say, is that correct, or am I getting something wrong?
No, it's just, I think there's a whole bunch of different ways to go about it.
There were some crooked eyes there, and I was like, uh-oh. But no, so later on, JTG had to make the decision to go back to the one-car team. Unfortunately, they were not able to keep you along the way. But now you've landed here with SHR as a reserve driver at least, and you're still somewhat successful in the truck series. You got that win in Nashville 2 in a row at Nashville, and now here you are, and amongst everything that's happening, there's been a lot of news this weekend, silly season news,
Yep.
One of which was Eric Almirola announcing that he's going to come back instead. We're underneath the 10 holler right now. So was there a talk there when Eric was actually going to retire? Was there a chance that you were going to come back, where you were going to be promoted into SHR?
I've never really had that conversation, right? Everybody would ask it or assume it, but I think right now my role is my role, and there's a lot of things that go behind the scenes to try and get to the top level in NASCAR, and one of those things is having sponsors. So I have great relationships with the people that continue to help me, and we're just going to keep trying to build those.
And then when this announcement occurred, when Eric, I know you said that you weren't having any conversations, but was there at least a little bit of was there a thought that ever popped in your head, maybe this is an opportunity here that could come out for me? And now that Eric's announced that he's coming back, has that dwindled at all?
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a racer. I go out. It doesn't matter if it's up in the Northeast here or in a truck or an Xfinity car. My job is, when I get hired to do something, it's to go out and win. That's the reason I'm there. To answer your question, I think things change constantly in the sport. I don't think it's as easy as saying, so-and-so could be in whatever car at any time. I think things change. I mean, things can change tomorrow. So as far as that, I'm going to continue to keep showing up to the racetrack. I'm going to continue being what a racer is, and that's somebody who is going to race to win. I'm very old school. I build my race cars. I enjoy the setup process. I enjoy a lot of the things that probably half the kids that are younger don't even understand. So it's just different. I'm built different from a lot of the up and coming or younger kids, and I appreciate that. I like that. I like that about everything in racing and the whole deal.
Like you just mentioned, you are a bit of a rarer breed nowadays. I talked about it earlier, just being somebody who moved up through the ranks on talent. But now, again, you're in this part-time position, and I'm sure you'd love to go full-time, but are you at least content with where you are right now? I know you said you're a racer, you'll show up at the racetrack, but are you happy with where you are?
I mean, this is definitely a company that I want to be a part of. I enjoy everything about it. People like Tony and Kevin and the racers that you're surrounded by. The racers they have the same thought process. They feel about the things that the way I feel about them. It's just it's racing. There's so many things that make things happen, right? So hopefully one day things can come together and I can get that opportunity and try to race for wins. That's ideally what I want to do. So we'll see.
You mentioned Kevin, you mentioned the other SHR drivers. Have they talked to you at all? Have they given you advice at all? And do they treat you as if like you're a fifth driver in the team?
I mean, I talked to Kevin quite a bit. And
what about?
Well, just racing. Gotcha. Just in general. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just racing in general, yeah. But I mean, I do go to all the competition meetings. I'm there. I'm listening in. I see the process in which everybody goes through to get these cars together. So I feel like there's a lot of knowledge or things that I've soaked up without even asking questions. I can walk around the shop and see what's going on. So this is definitely the place, the environment that I want to be like, that I envisioned when I tried to get to a cup level and be a part of a team. This is the whole system that I thrive in. So I don't know. We'll see.
And finally, has there been any talks about the future? Your plans for the most part are fulfilled, as you announced earlier this year, or that was announced earlier this year, that your schedule is fulfilled. But are there any more plans, maybe under the surprise entries later on in the playoff part of the season? And what about 2023?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that was Ryan Preece. Thanks for watching Frontstretch.com. Ryan, again, thanks for showing up. Thanks for taking time to talk to me today.
Yep.
And good luck out there.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Jared Haas with Frontstretch.com. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, check one of those two videos out that we have right beside you. Visit Frontstretch.com for more great content.